Hi. So today, as we talk about the High Priestess, I thought I'd share with you my disgusting unwashed hair because I don't know. So the High Priestess originally for me was like, I don't know what the fuck any of this means. Like she's wearing some sort of fucking crown. Is it special? I don't know. Let's look it up. So again, according to Labyrinthos, I'm gonna probably show you a thing so you can pause and read it at any time. Apparently, the crown she is wearing is called the Crown of Isis. So, the Egyptian god Isis, which means she is a believer of magic. Makes sense, she's a priestess, right? So the cross she wears is supposedly not just, a normal cross. It's actually called a solar cross, which denotes that she is connected to the season of the earth and the earth itself, which I wouldn't have known that just by looking at the picture. So looking up the symbols in any cards that you don't know is definitely helpful. So to give you an idea of what it means. So the fact that she's connected to earth to me tells me she's grounded, okay? So that's the extra reading into that I'm getting. There's a lot of light blue. For me personally, that's like calmness. That's also like intuition and wisdom and all that stuff. Light blue is actually more connected to the throat chakra, which is about communication and stuff, but like that's not my first instinct when I look at it. I do feel calm when I look at this card, and I feel like this figure is quite wise and knows what the fuck they're talking about. So when I see a high priestess, I feel like when you're doing a reading, the person you're doing a reading for needs to seek out wisdom, whether it's wisdom from an actual person or perhaps inner wisdom, just any sort of wisdom. Maybe do some research on whatever problem you're looking up for. So it's basically just, this is what I see without going to the what does all these little things means. So she's holding a Torah. It's basically a religious reading of some sort, which I guess back in the day people attributed wisdom to understanding God and stuff like that. But if you're not into that, or if you're not into any sort of religion, I think it's more about like understanding yourself, understanding your emotions, understanding your situation, and just doing research, speaking to people who have maybe experienced the same things you're going to. But that could be like a support group, that could be a psychologist, or just anyone that you know that has gone through the same shit. Basically anyone that has wisdom on the situation. So that's my initial thing. She appears to be sitting in front of like a field of fruit. It looks kind of pomegranate-y. There's like palm tree looking things as well. So let's see if there's any information on here about. Okay, so on Labyrinthos, the fruits are supposed to be representative of her ambitions, so she's in front of that. It means, her ambitions are like here, but it's just kind of like she's like guiding them and like being careful to not give them to everyone type of thing. So if we look in the book, we see it just basically just says fruit. In this book, it's just saying fruit is generally abundance, celebration. There's no specific pomegranate. So feel free to look that up, or palm trees, if you're so inclined to understand all the elements of the card. There appears to be like vines, so that could be like grapevines. I don't know what else grows on vines, but she certainly is in front of, and she's sort of displaying her whatever she's proud of, but also guarding it as well. So yeah, now the B and the J also, I had no idea what they stood for. I feel I've seen an article where it's like, it's kind of like the angels or demons or whatever you want to believe. So the pillars are supposed to represent, I don't know how to pronounce this, but Jason and Boaz, which I've heard that Boaz is a demon, but I feel like there's no real demons. There's just, they're all angels, and because we view their actions as evil, which there's technically no good or evil, but whatever, that's just my... Basically, the pillars are supposed to represent like dualities, like good and bad, masculine, feminine, positive, negative, you know. So it's basically balance. She is surrounded by both and very comfortable, and basically that's what I see. There's also like a crescent moon. I saw about that at her feet, which supposedly is also in a lot of depictions of the Virgin Mary, which, take with that what you will. I feel like it's not a virgin in the not had sex part. I feel like it's just a pure thoughts and pure and good thoughts. So they're just some of the things that can be interpreted when you pull out the High Priestess. So the main interpretation is the person you're reading for needs to seek advice. The second interpretation is that the person you're reading for is just has pure good intents. Like they're able to see the good and bad in things, but they're very knowledgeable and they've looked into. So it's either they've looked into it and they know what they're talking about, or they need to seek this person. So again, it's all about interpretation. So right, when you're doing like a love reading, it's about reminding the person you're reading for, whether it's them or the other person, they need to be calm in the situations when the bad and the good are presented. It's just about being calm and being just like her, that same face, just like, yeah, you know, but still having that, I guess, see that the fruit behind her is still like, because we have such a fruit called passion fruit, I feel like fruit can also represent passion, not just fertility or like, you know, all that. So perhaps she is, you know, not overtly showing her passions, but is still very, there's lots of fruit. So she's very passionate, but she's not going to be like maybe all over you. That could be a single interpretation if you're doing a love reading for someone. Career, again, it's all about being inspired, doing your research, all that type of thing. And if if you're doing a financial reading, it's basically being like she is and keeping your financial decisions and situations like more private and behind you. Don't really let everyone see the full picture. That's what it's sort of telling me. Yeah. So they're my main sort of things. When you're doing a reading, you look at the person's demeanor, their body language, facial expression, what sort of imagery. Reversed, I am absolutely bullshit. Reversed feelings. Basically, I feel like my first interpretation of reversed is that person you're reading for or reading about is not doing their research, not looking up things, not asking people for advice. They're just trying to do it on their own. Like they're not even, the symbolism you could quite easily look up, because maybe now it's not at her feet what the moon in the sky, because now it's more like a sky situation rather than the ground. You could easily find out what that means to you. But basically the reversed card for any, regardless of what type of reading you're doing, basically you're not getting all the information that you need, and you need to do that. Perhaps you can view it as the pillars. No, they're definitely in front. Because like maybe it's like now instead of pillars they look more like bells, and you could look up what bells could signify. Because on the Labyrinthon site for a reverse love meeting, it's like ignoring intuition, which is like the wisdom, and hiding your true self from the lover, which I'm trying to really see what symbols led to that. I think much like there was the magician, because they're both wearing robe things, once they're upside down, the robes cover them, so you don't get to see their truths. That's the only way I can make sense of how to explain why this would mean like ignoring and hiding true self, or feeling isolated or something like that. Like the only way that can make sense is because once it's upside down, the robes or dress or whatever it is now covering the person. I guess you just really have to look at it and go, what happens when I turn the situation upside down, and what does it mean? What is hidden? What is still present? And that's how you do it. So yeah, good luck with that. I will probably won't be doing any more major arcana cards for a good few days, I think.